Honorable Swart.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have a long history with the committee, but I do remember your previous presentation, and thank you for that lengthy documentation that you provided us. Now, you've given us summaries, and a lot of what you've said is to me, startling and shocking. But clearly, it would be helpful for you to present a lengthy document with annexures as far as possible, similar to the other OUTA document that you provided. Because you've referred to, we've got documents. And so, as far as you are able to maybe provide us with a more lengthy statement on the slides that you've provided, because the slides are very brief, and we'd like to obviously interrogate these issues. For me, it's historical, and you've gone back to show that corruption at Eskom has been around a long time. It just seems to have reached a third level or even a higher level now, and we need to be aware of that. So we need to obtain that information. I'd like you also just to unpack, how is it possible that 400,000 tons of coal disappears? You know, it must be there somewhere. Has it been stolen? And that just seems to indicate a lack of due process. And this goes back to a period when we thought Eskom was being properly run. Now, you're also obviously aware that there have been a number of investigations. There's so many different investigations. And one of the most pertinent is the SIU investigation into coal procurement from up to 2012. And that investigation is finalized. So to what degree have you cooperated with various of these investigations by providing information to them, and also, of course, to Parliament? Is this the first time this information has been provided to Parliament to help exercise its oversight role? I don't know. I'm not in this committee. But obviously, a lot of what you're saying is startling and I'm sure that parties that you've mentioned will want to respond to the allegations that you've made, such as the Optimum Mines, the front running, you referred to that. You've referred to fronting as well. And then, of course, you've also referred to the diesel purchases, which to me is astounding. If it's R5 landed costs and we've been charged, and that was it 8 billion for that year or something ridiculous for that figure?
Over 10.
So we need more information so that we can interrogate that. We've got lots of reports that might be, but from your perspective of presenting this, you've got the inside knowledge. You were there, and it's very helpful to us as we engage in looking at this. But clearly, as you look at the situation now, the chairman indicated it's a crisis. It's a financial crisis. You've indicated a few aspects of looking into some of that. And one of the suggestions is an amnesty. But I've got a major concern with that, because you've got corruption that has taken place. How do you decide who you're going to give amnesty to? Yes, at some stage, the criminal investigation authorities are going to approach some people and say, turn state witness. But you yourself, as OUTA, are engaged in a case against the police and the Hawks for not doing their work. So how do you assist us in who do we grant amnesty to? If a person comes to Parliament and gives evidence under oath and they are truthful, there is a possibility. But this broad corruption, please unpack that a little bit for us. Then just on the financials that you unpack now, the situation now, one of our mandates is to look into the financial sustainability of Eskom. And I'd like you to unpack that a little bit more of what you've said, where you say the asset base is too low, but going forward, we need to bring out a report on where is Eskom going to. So you'd like to possibly, our time is limited now, but give us more documentation as to where you are thinking the financial model should be going. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. The good news is in your email, there should be a 90-page document supporting some of the stuff that was discussed this morning. But obviously, with the evidence leader, there is more work to be done. Some of the emails are on file. Some of the incriminating documents are on file, either with OUTA or with the evidence leader. So some of the documentation will eventually arrive, but you're talking about 17 years worth of documentation, so it's not going to be that easy. Secondly, 400,000 tons of coal, or roughly 7 soccer fields or rugby fields full of coal. It's a pity you didn't ask that question to the previous witness, because it was during his tenure, and him as a scientist and a specialist and the CEO of the organization might have been able to give you a better answer than I can. All I know is that Eskom paid for the coal and wrote the coal off because they couldn't find it. And that is, I think, due to either corruption or bad management practices, that they were paying proof of deliveries where coal was not delivered. And I'm aware of instances where people were in the queue delivering coal by road, paid the Eskom official $50, didn't deliver the coal, then went back into the queue. In other words, got about 3 or 4 times paid for one delivery of coal. That was quite rampant at that stage. Or not even coal, but stone. Because a lot of the stuff doesn't qualify as coal. I've never been approached by any of the investigative units to testify or offer my evidence. I've offered my evidence to NERSA on several occasions. They have not made use of that. I would have thought that NERSA, as the regulator, should have the capacity to, in fact, just at least have a look at some of the evidence. That never happened. Neither the SIU.
Nothing,
No.
SIU.
In terms of the amnesty proposal, my problem is, and the reason why I propose that, is that Eskom's corruption is now so widespread. If I had to make an estimate right now as to how many incidences of corruption have happened this year at Eskom, I would say at least 1,000. And I say that from an educated point of view, because I'm aware of corruption with brown envelopes going on every single week at some of the Eskom offices. And the corruption, as I said, isn't happening only at head office. It's happening at Medupi, it's happening at Kusile, it's happening at the other power stations, it's happening with laundry services, it's happening with garden services, where people are nominated by third force agents as to who should win these tenders. If we open up a whistleblowing thing, and I've already got some whistleblowers coming through to me, my inbox will just overflow, because there are literally thousands of transgressions every year of what would be considered reasonable or good governance. So that's why I'm asking for amnesty, because only then will we get exposed to the full side. At the moment, it's all hidden. You hear a bit here, you hear a bit there, because you've got excellent journalists that hide behind corners and under tables and so on to spy on these Eskom people doing their corrupt businesses. But believe you me, there is far more. Only the sensational stuff is getting to the press at the moment. There's far more, and it's hundreds of millions of rands. In terms of the financials, certainly, I don't think that Eskom is financially sustainable, and certainly not without guarantees, and that's a fact, because without the government guarantees, Eskom wouldn't be able to raise 1 penny. In terms of Eskom having to, and Eskom burns about 7 billion rand a month. That's roughly what they're burning at the moment, over and above what they're getting in from income. So to the extent that Eskom's not able to fund that billion, the 7 billion, which is about 60, 70 billion a year, off the market, and nobody wants to invest in Eskom at the moment, and I think the PIC will stop investing in Eskom very soon as well. Correctly so, because Eskom has no prospect of paying back that money. So I think the situation financially, Eskom is precarious, and when the evidence leader approaches me again, I'll certainly provide the best of my information to corroborate that.